could it benefit the Malaysian community? How could it benefit the industries in Malaysia?
All right, a very good evening to our viewers at home and for those who are still at your office or having your dinner. Thank you for joining us this evening as we are going to tackle a very relevant topic and in fact a hot topic for the season, which is on IR 4.0 and digital transformation. And with us today is Dr. Chua Shyan, who is in fact the head of Malaysian Smart Factory 4.0, which is under the Sleangor Human Resource Development Center. If we look at the work of Dr. Chua, he has been delivering hands-on and competency-based training to support our workforce and especially on talent development. He has his PhD in Control Systems Engineering and his bachelor's is in Mechatronics Engineering, both from Monash University, which currently he's currently sitting on the panel of industrial advisor for Monash as well. We are also aware that Dr. Chua's expertise is actually in control and automation systems. All these kind of buzzwords that we have been hearing a lot lately. So with this, we would like to welcome all our viewers once again. Thank you for joining us. This is Hugo Tan, your host for I Defy Limits. And with us today, Dr. Chua, how have you been doing?
Hello. Yep. Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Dr. Chua. And as Hugo has shared, I represent the Malaysian Smart Factory under the Sleangor Human Resource Development Center. Hope everyone is doing well. And yeah, I'm doing well as well, Hugo. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good to hear that. Good to hear that. I've also just heard that you have all gone back to work, especially in your area of training, where everything is hands-on, is practical. It's good that business is resuming and things are getting back to normal, albeit a very new normal, with its own SOP and stuff like that. Yeah, okay. So we would like to dive right into IR 4.0, right? We have been hearing this so often, okay? But the people on the street, they don't realize the kind of impact that is going to hit them. It's like a train, on high speed that's going to hit them no matter what, and they don't know what is it that is hitting them. So, Dr. Chua, can you share with us, for us layman, what can we expect in IR 4.0? What does it mean?
So, industrialization 4.0, as probably most of the viewers have probably heard of, is the next stage of industrial revolution. Which really talks about the whole interconnected systems, digital transformation, and really talking about the entire integration of technologies that we all have today. So when we look back at all the industrial revolutions, when you start off with the steam engine, and then you go into mass production, then you go into computers, and then now you talk about cyber physical systems, Internet of Things, and that's really all about connecting the devices or machines all together. And having that connected system really allows us to get a lot of insight towards what's actually happening. Yeah, it's like our phones. We have updates, coming in. We have real-time monitoring if we are looking at some machines, or even, let's think about it from a more easy perspective. Let's say if you wear a Xiaomi Mi Band, right? You get your step counter, and that's directly connected to your phone if you turn on the Bluetooth. So that's really about connecting devices together, and that's all, or at least the surface level of Industry 4.0 that we all talk about today.
Quick explanation on what is IR 4.0, right?
No problem.
I think people need to realize that this is actually a term being coined by Professor Schwab in the World Economic Forum, right? Because unlike the previous revolution, IR, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, where we have the steam engine, the weaving machine, the automation. Right now in IR 4.0, what is really different is that things are coming together, and it affects our way of life way closer than before. And all these things is very close to us. Things like our Face ID, things like virtual assistant, things like the autonomous vehicles that is going to come. So all these things are great. You know, I mean, we are getting more efficient, but at the same time, the kind of impact that we have on the talents, on our jobs, on our economy, on our education is definitely really great. So which brings us to our question, right? Like in the recent presidential nomination for the United States, right? I think there's a candidate called Andrew Yang. I think he's running on the Democratic ticket. And he has been talking a lot about AI and automation, right? Talking about the kind of large-scale jobs displacement that we are going to expect. I know that you're working on a Malaysia Smart Factory 4.0, and you're working a lot about upskilling, reskilling our workforce. Can you share with us a bit about what is the objective of the Smart Factory initiative, and how does it actually helps our workforce to transition?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the whole industrial revolution, and in terms of the very advancement of technologies, you know, let's not talk even about Malaysia. When you talk about the global landscape, you know, technologies are moving very, very quickly. You know, changes are happening very, very fast. And that, if you look at the whole entire ecosystem of technologies, you will notice that technologies move very fast, not because you have very brilliant developers within certain companies, but actually it's more of because you have a global network of developers, you know, a lot of developers that come together to build technologies together. And that's where you look at the open platforms, right? Open collaboration, you know, and these are actually really the key enablers towards building that technology all together. And when you think about that, you know, that kind of open collaboration concept, integration, that's actually what we do at the Smart Factory, right? Basically, we look at really look at the technologies that are in place. Every day, I usually will have a look at what are the new technologies available. You know, I join forums, you know, get updates from various social media. You know, what are the new technologies today? And then what do I do next? I think about how could it benefit the Malaysian community? How could it benefit the industries in Malaysia? And then if those are really very capable platforms, and there are many out there, you know, what we do next is we integrate it to our Smart Factory systems. We try to showcase that, oh yes, this technology can be also introduced, you know, in our model factory, our ecosystem. And what we do next for the industries and the community is we build technology application recipes, right? We test it, we validate it. If it works, if it's something that you're looking for, we can package it into programs for you. And why we do this is because we want to develop the people, right? We really look at the people development because it is the essential and core factor towards ensuring a sustainable digital transformation. You know, if you think about the whole landscape of digital transformation and emerging technologies, rapid changes in technologies, you know, it's not just, you know, buying something or buying a solution that will last for 2 years. Because even in a span of 2 years, things will change very, very quickly. And if we don't empower the talents, or we don't build an innovation team within our own ecosystem, our own factories, what's going to happen next is we will be left out. And you know, we will start to search for new things to buy again. And of course, you know, that's going to cost a lot of money. But if you have the talents on hand and a lot of new emerging technology, when you think about AI, when you think about deep learning, machine learning, all these require what we call as domain expertise. You know, subject matter experts that we need to build them up. They need to understand not only the algorithms, but they need to actually understand the machine operations as well. So, you know, or the business operations, you know, if you want to talk about the whole company-wide data, you know, so if you don't have these talents, who knows better about your operations than your own people, right? So if you don't build up this talent capacity in the long run, it's going to be very, very challenging for industries to actually move, faster in this digital transformation. Today, it could be Industry 4.0, but, Japan has already started Society 5.0. It's all about a connected society, and it's going to keep growing from there. So, if we don't want to be left behind, the talents need to be really, really ready to support your industries. And industries need to invest in talents to help them to transform digitally. If not, then it's going to be a challenge, to really keep up to technology. It's really moving very quickly. And that's what the Smart Factory is doing. We want to be at the forefront of that technology changes so that eventually we can then, update ourselves to update whatever skills that you need to implement to your factories. Yeah.
I think that's some good points being raised by Dr. Chua over there. And for our viewers that are watching, if you're watching this, and if you have a burning questions that you want to ask Dr. Chua, do comment below, right? Whether you are watching in a private watch party or at our main page, so that we and Dr. Chua could pick up your question in a while to answer those. And do remember to like and share so that this conversation can reach out to more people. Because as we have been talking, I don't think not just our businesses, but our general population, they are super unaware and unprepared for the transformation that is going to come. And when our Prime Minister recently announced, right, the accelerated efforts to actually transform digitally, to give the kind of incentive for businesses to transform, first, you must be aware. Secondly, you must take action, right? The question for you, Dr. Chua, is just how you raise a point like technology you can always buy. People thinking transformation is about buying stuff, is about shopping. But more important than that, do you have the talents ready to use those technology? I think that is a good point. In fact, that is one of the misconceptions that people have, on digital transformation. Can you perhaps share with us one or two more common misconceptions on IR 4.0 and digital transformation?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of times, people may think that adoption of Industry 4.0 is very difficult. Because they usually attend seminars, they go for awareness programs, and most of them go on the basis that yes, Industry 4.0 talks about the 9 pillars of technology. You talk about cloud computing, big data analytics, augmented reality, virtual reality, big data analytics. But essentially, how we see it at the Smart Factory, it's not so much about the pillars of Industry 4.0 that industries need to really take note of, but it's more of how the technologies are integrated together, horizontally and vertically. So horizontal integration talks more about, your shop floor or factory operations. How connected are your machines? How connected are your devices? Do you have the infrastructure? Wi-Fi connection, network connections, infrastructure available. And then you talk about vertical integrations where you really look at the whole analytics point of view. If you want to push data to the cloud, when you talk about cloud computing, is it really necessary for your business at the moment? So that's something that we all need to think about, in terms of Industry 4.0. And when we really look at all these technologies being integrated together, the question mark is always that, what if one day I use this technology, but is it actually, able to be scalable in the future? When we talk about scalability, it's not just about, connecting another device together and whether it works. It really talks about compatibility. When you actually play Lego, right, and you actually build something, you actually put the pieces together, that's compatibility, right? And eventually, your technologies or whatever you implement needs to be compatible, from end to end. So that's the whole solution that you need to think about. And if you think about the whole Lego concept is, if there are new pieces coming in, new interesting add-ons, in Lego, what you want to do next is to build on top of it, right? To scale it up, to build on top of it, to improve your design, you know, improve your whole build up. And that's really what Industry 4.0 should be all about, you know, to be looking at it at a scalable, compatible point of view. And that's really what we focus as well. When we talk about open collaboration, you know, when you think about even a communication tool, is it integratable with Dropbox, Google, you know, Microsoft? Is it even compatible with other tools like Zapier, you know, and other automation tools that you can think of, right? So those are in the services line, but in the manufacturing line, you know, are you using open protocols, you know, open communication? It's like machine talking to each other. They need to talk in a single language, right? Same like us, we talk in a common language, which is English, but some machines can talk in a different language, but where is the interpreter in the middle, right? The translator. That's where we really need to think about how, you know, these things are integrated together. That's one of the misconceptions that people have. Secondly is, of course, pricing. You know, the misconception is, oh, you know, if I want to do all this, it's going to cost me a bomb. It's going to really be very, very expensive for me to start my journey. But actually, in fact, it's not. It's really all about how you want to position your technology roadmap, right? And if you really think about the whole technology perspective, right, you don't need to spend so much on buying technologies, you know, but you can actually invest, think about it as an investment to your people and to the assets of the company. So, you know, investment in the people will be your talents, you know, build them up, teach them how to build up your platforms, your software, you know, and that belongs to you eventually. And, you know, when you get to build up that kind of platforms, that kind of people, and all you need to invest next is probably your assets, which is your hardware. But, you know, in terms of a long-term process, it actually brings you higher value. You know, when you have the right people on board, you know, they are motivated because they're always doing new things. You know, they're on the forefront of technology. You have an innovation team. That's really going to bring much more added value to your businesses. So yes, technologies are not meant to be expensive. In fact, it's meant to be cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, right? So if you look at all the technologies out there nowadays, it's actually getting more and more open. It's getting more and more cheap so that you can actually start integrating it for yourselves. Yeah.
Couple more great points, you know, from Dr. Chua. So for those who are watching, you know, once again, remember to like, remember to share. And if you have a question for Dr. Chua, do remember to comment below so that we can pick up your question and we can tackle it. So I think if we look at the current misconceptions of IR 4.0, just now Dr. Chua actually gave the metaphor, right? Metaphor of using Lego bricks. It's all about compatibility, it's all about integration. That's number one. Number two is that there is this idea, and a very persistent one, that technology is expensive. You know, that is not for us. You know, that's for those big players. You know, it's not for us. So when we look at what you are doing in Malaysia Smart Factory 4.0, how do you approach clientele? I think you have not just tackling all those big players, but you're also looking at small and medium players, you know, in the market. How do you approach them and tell them that this is, number one, this is necessary. Number two, this is actually affordable. And number three, this is actually an investment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How do you sell this point to them?
So we have established, you know, that the Smart Factory is going to be a very SME-driven technology center. You know, where when we showcase technologies in the Smart Factory, is really putting the SMEs at heart. You know, on how they want to start their journey. And when we go and visit them, or when we start our discussions, when we share with them, we really share with them the concept of achieving sustainable digital transformation through talent development. And basically, how we start that is, you know, we explain to them how our programs are actually designed as, you know, application recipes for them. You know, that means when we do our programs and when they learn, it is a very high impact and high quality programs that when they actually undertake it, when they go back, they can actually start a project, right? And of course, some industries, they require some bit of help, to kickstart some projects. So what we do is we offer, post-training support for those industries, where we will do a factory visit, understand what is the process that they're looking at, really understand which are the areas that they want to kickstart a certain small project. Usually we will advise them to do smaller projects first. Why we do that is because it actually helps to build the confidence and culture within the whole staff environment that, okay, we can actually do this. It all starts with an example. It all starts with a success story. So we don't go to a company and say, okay, you know what, we can do everything for you. No, that's not what we want to do. We want to actually start projects with companies, start them on a Kickstarter project, following our talent development paths and programs. And once they actually kickstart their project and they finished it, they have the confidence to replicate it to another system on their own, right? And when they do that, that sort of helps them to see how they can scale up together, as a team within the company. So, then it builds a lot of confidence in them to actually do something related to Industry 4.0. And when staff are really motivated to do that, that's a big win for the company, because you have your domain experts that have been working with you for many years. You have upskilled them to the next level. They are very grateful to you, on these programs. And when they finish a project, it's a big win for them. It's a success story. So that's actually how we explain to industries how these concepts, of sustainable digital transformation through talent development will actually be something that industries would benefit from. Probably not as quick as buying something off the shelf, or probably getting someone to do it, but it has a very strong culture and impact in the whole entire factory organization. And that's what we really want to achieve, that whole cultural change within the organization. And hopefully, it was help to spark new ideas, new developments within the company, because eventually in Malaysia needs to move, in my opinion, Malaysia needs to move towards a more R&D driven kind of capacity, right? We can't just be manufacturing things that are already developed by another person, right? We need to be developers ourselves, and we need to innovate and continue to innovate and look more towards R&D driven activities. So this is probably a good kickstart for them, because eventually when they move towards R&D and more innovation kind of platforms, technology is of no problem for them. Yeah.
Well said, well said. So if I will understand it correctly, what Smart Factory actually does is to actually focus on not the hardware, but the human capital, readying the talents. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, we do both. Basically, in terms of the whole technology side of things, we basically focus on the key areas of the people, the process, and technology, right? But of course, in terms of this whole distribution of, let's say, the priority importance distribution, we really focus more on the people, right? Okay. So to develop the people, to apply the technology, because eventually they will be the implementers, they will be the innovators, they will be the developers, right? But they need to understand the technology first before they implement it. They need a safe space to test their concepts. They need a safe space to validate what they are doing. It's just like in university. University is a safe space to test and validate, right? So the Smart Factory is the same concept, right? It's a safe space to test, validate, and develop. And because we work with a lot of technology partners, both globally and locally, that's where we can really bring together, the technology players, the technology integrators, and really reach out further to the Malaysian community. Because sometimes you will never know. One day you may actually see a technology that is not even introduced in Malaysia, And in fact, these are very, very capable technologies worldwide, or even locally, that needs to have a better presence or marketing presence to the industries and communities. So we are looking for good partners in that space, to share the same vision with us, to really help to build the people capacity through technology applications.
Okay. In fact, last October, for the benefit of our viewers, my colleague and I actually have the opportunity to visit Smart Factory. We were welcomed by Dr. Chua. So we basically have like a run through of the kind of facilities that's available in Smart Factory. And you mentioned about this plug and play. Basically you have all this safe space for people to experiment, to test out their tech. So I'm curious about this Smart Factory. It's actually started by the Swiss Smart Factory. Is that true? So is this some sort like a franchise? How has this project been going on in other countries?
Okay, so Switzerland Smart Factory, or Swiss Smart Factory in short, is our strategic partner. So they started off in Switzerland under the initiative of the Switzerland Innovation, right? And of course, we were one of the strategic partners offshore, the overseas campus, and slowly they are expanding to other sites globally as well. So there is a global smart factory network that is being set up. So essentially, in the future, we are all connected if you think about it. Yeah, in the whole smart factory network.
Very well, very well. Okay, since we are on the topic of talent development, and I think there's more viewers coming in a bit. So for those who are watching, we are here today on I Defy Limits with Dr. Chua Shyan, which is the head of the Malaysian Smart Factory 4.0. And we'll be talking about how you and your business can transit digitally, how you can adapt to this new normal. And Dr. Chua has been talking a lot about talent development. And last year, I have the opportunity to attend yet another sharing session. I think people has been talking about it for some time, on how our workforce will be changing, and especially the young workforce. What are some of the trends that you foresee would be prevalent in our workforce? Number one. Number two, if for our viewers at home, what kind of skill sets they need to develop to get ready in this new era? What do you say?
Yeah, I think in the skills of the future, we really think about a lot of things to do with software development, right? Those are actually one of the key areas of skills of the future. And when we really think about what are the essential skills as well, in terms of the future, the important skills actually would cover a lot to do with coding, right? And you need to know how to code. Code is like another language that you need to learn in schools. That is probably something that's going to be hopefully mandatory for the future. But the whole idea as well is to look at skilling up the people of the nation to higher value jobs, right? And when we talk about higher value jobs, it's more about how can we be developers to connect systems together, to build ecosystem, to build platforms together, whether digitally or whether connecting the physical and digital world. And of course, looking at higher skilled jobs in terms of the artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. Those are really areas that will thrive in the future. And if we are not ready for these areas, that is something that we really need to get started. And in fact, when we talk about gig economy, this is something that is very, very new, recently, that has thrived in the recent years. And why? Because, people tend to look at, gig economy as, something that is more flexible for their time. They're flexible time. They have more control over what they do on a daily basis. They have more time to learn new things. And that's actually essentially what may happen in the future. When you talk about gig technology, you talk about gig in terms of tech talents in the gig economy. Not so much of your usual, car sharing or Grab or even Food Panda. We talk more about tech developers doing contract jobs, right? You want to build a website, you can just hire someone very quickly on a part-time basis, build out a website for you. You want to connect something, get someone, post it up, and it can actually help you on that platform. There are a lot of platforms now that actually are looking at offering part-time tech jobs, and these are professional tech jobs. And these are eventually areas in the future where it's not so much of having a full-time job anymore. It's about having the skills available to be able to be very agile and move into different industries. So when we think about tech talent development, we really look at the agility of skills that are coming in, and industries need to also see this as a growing trend. To look for developers, to look for someone to help you on certain things. This is going to be the future of skill sets of the future in terms of technology. Yeah.
I think what you have just mentioned is really interesting. And before we go further, I would like to give a shout out to a few of our viewers. And the first one is, I think we have Elena Ghana. I think it's from Philippines. Thank you for joining us. I think your work in the education industry on digitalizing education industry in your country has been very admirable. And of course, to our dear teacher, Miss Shanti. I wonder if you're still there. So Miss Shanti actually says that talent development is much needed to ensure youngsters become adept with IoT, the Internet of Things, So congratulations for the session. So thank you, Miss Shanti.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I think we need more educators like you who are well aware and basically on track, because educators are our how do you say, they are the people that mold our next generation. We need educators that are in the know about what is to come and try their best to prepare the next generation. So but here's the crazy thing though, Dr. Chua. When we are talking about reskilling and upskilling, right, there is this notion because like what you just say, jobs, could be misplaced and things like that, displaced. Low skill workers, low skill workforce, the demand for them would be gradually decreased over time due to automation and things like that. Whereas for high skill knowledge workers, the demand will increase over time. I think this is without question. Now the question is, when governments and various agencies talking about reskilling, upskilling the lower skill segment of the workforce, here's the feedback we receive, right? Let's say someone is driving a truck, or working in fast food restaurants, right, as a server, similar jobs. Are you telling them, to all become programmers? That's the notion on the ground, right? Well, what do you think?
It's not really that we are asking them to be programmers, but if you really think about the whole evolution of technology, okay, let's talk about the evolution of technology. People used to think that programmers need to code, in very tough languages like Python, C, even JavaScript. Those are very, basic coding languages, right? But there are as well platforms that are actually what we call as low-code or no-code platforms. And those low-code and no-code platforms are designed to support, people who are not very coding-centric. They are more of, the domain experts. They just want to get things done. So you see a lot of widget-based platforms nowadays, drag and drops, and actually it's very, very capable. And we are not saying that, they can't learn programming. And in fact, all these coding or low code and no code platforms actually give a lot of value for these people, because what you can do next is actually, for example, build your own website and build your own shop on the web, online store. You know, I just you know, had a conversation with one of my friends' father, who actually you know, during the MCO he started exploring and built his own website. You know, from himself, and he's not young. He's you know, not a very young age, but he's still able to adapt to the technology, and you know, from there he can start teaching other people how to do it. You know, and this is actually, you know, comes up not from the know-how, but more on the passion and you know, the initiative to learn you know, these technologies. And in a lot of things actually start off, you know, with the passion to learn. And in fact, like, even, you know, when we talk about technologies, you know, it's not just about maybe, you know, serving food at McDonald's, or even drivers. You know, nowadays the new technologies, trends of you know, labor, you know, is what we call as data annotations. You know, data annotators. So when you want to look at you know, want to build machine learning or even deep learning algorithms, what you need is actually data labeling, and that's a very intensive job, very intensive job. You have to look at the pictures, you know, you have to label them, you have to annotate them, and that can actually be a skill, right? Data annotation is something new to pick up, you know, and you know, those are things that we really see are changing the landscape of jobs, you know, and we want to, of course, you know, try to support as much as we can in this changing landscape of jobs, you know, to help them to upskill to a new job level. It's not just, you know, they need to be programmers. No, they need to be innovators, you know, to innovate the way that they are, you know, going through their businesses, you know, their jobs, their careers, to really start something new. And with the technologies now, it's really not difficult to start something new.
True. I think one of the opportunities, if we are talking about opportunities in this IR 4.0, is, I think the barrier of entry to entrepreneurship, you know, has been never been lower, due to the access to the internet. Like what you say, your friend started a website, you know, during the MCO, and a lot of people has been trying e-commerce, has been trying becoming content creators, and it has never been easier. I mean, every one of us is like a walking media on ourselves, you know. We are walking shops, you know, in a way. And the question is, for Smart Factory 4.0, you know, just for our viewers to understand better, what are some of the key trainings, like the most in-demand training that you are currently having at your center?
So the most in-demand program that we have right now is very much in the area of IoT, which is basically you know, data collection. So we sort of started off to explain to industries, you know, especially in terms of the whole maturity level of data automation. You know, when we think about data, it's all about the steps towards data automation. And when we start to talk to a lot of industries, a lot of you know, agencies, you know, we understand that a lot of them see Industry 4.0 as, you know, okay, I want to have AI, I want to have machine learning, I want to achieve full automation, you know, I want my computers to make decisions for me. Yes, it's all very good. That is very wonderful. But the first question that I will ask is, where are your data sets, right? Do you have a huge storage of data, you know, historian data, you know? And most of them will tell me that, oh yes, data is there off and on. We don't store it for a long time. We have some trends that we can see for the past week. That's not enough. So when we talk about that whole maturity level, we start off with, you know, data acquisition as a start. You know, that's level one. You know, without data acquisition, that you don't have data to see. Next, we talk about data storage, right? We talk about data storage as a level two, because if you don't store your data, then your data is just being generated, it's just flying by every day. Then we talk about visualization, looking at your data trends, analyze it from the very basic point of view, either in pie charts, bar charts, whichever way that you intend to see it. Then only talk about formulation, which is you use the data sets that you have collected every day, to formulate something effective for you, to give you better insights about your data, right? Because from there, then only you can build what we call as the equation of effectiveness, right, or productivity. And then moving on, only we think about analytics, because you have all data historian in place. You have the domain expertise on what your data is doing for you. Then you look into analytics. Because why it's always important to have data that is that has high value for you. Not everything you need to measure, not everything you need to store. You have to think about machine learning or AI learning. The intelligence is only as smart as a human intelligence, right? So anything you put in, you always think about it as rubbish in, rubbish out. So the data sets that you put in, it's important for you to understand. It's important for you to make sure that they are consistent. Trends are consistent before you think about analytics. So essentially, the most bestseller program that we have right now is from the data generation side. We have a program called data generation. Basically, what this program does is that it helps you to collect data from legacy machines. Legacy machines meaning very old machines. But being old, they are still gold, right? Basically, it's very important for them. It's still moving, it's still working. We want to help them to just collect some data from it. And that has been a very popular program because number one, we help them to automate data collection from older machines. Number two, it is actually built on a low-code platform. So mainly all the data acquisition is done through drag and drop kind of tools. Very, very low-code platforms. So it's very easy for individuals to pick up. We have good participants who are very, very experienced industry people. They have been in the industry for 10, 12 years. When they join the program, they find something new, and they see insights to how it can help them to automate their data. Imagine if your machine is down, somebody needs to come and look at the machine. But how fast is that time for them to come to the machine going to be? Is it instant? Probably not. But if you automate your data, you can straight away send probably a Telegram message, email directly to you, to ping you to come over, and you have all this data being automated every day. It's not written on a whiteboard, it's not WhatsApp to your manager, it's all packaged nicely to be visualized on a dashboard, and management team can make right decisions, to everyday production. Today I need to do what, today I need to do what, based on that visualization that they have. So what we are doing is basically saving time, because time is equals to money. And all these, time delays, we are trying to minimize that. And this program actually was really effective for some industries who really want to start their journey to Industry 4.0, because it's a very good Kickstarter program that we have currently in the Smart Factory.
I think that's a good one. I think it brings clarity into what are the kind of trainings we can expect in Malaysia Smart Factory, and especially on your bestseller program. That would be very useful on our viewers that would like to reach out to you. I think we have a question, right? A question. Let's pick up a question. So this question is from Miss Shanti. Thank you for your kind words, Dr. Chua. Is there any chance?
Thanks, Misha.
Is there any chance of approaching youngsters in school once this phase is over to guide students towards available platforms to gain skill sets, or maybe earn via online business management of various areas? So are there any plans on a Smart Factory, to actually reach out to schools? If yes, on which level? Are you reaching out to secondary or tertiary? What are the plans with the Sleangor Center?
On our side, definitely we plan to reach out to more secondary school level, because I think in terms of technology and encouragement for them to go into STEM. I think that's very, very important, because if we don't have many students coming out in the area of science and mathematics from the high school level, then you see a huge drop in intakes in the university level. And I've been hearing a lot of feedback from some universities that the numbers joining engineering programs have dropped, and that doesn't give a very good impact. When we talk about Malaysia moving towards Industry 4.0, you talk about technology development. So you need engineers, you need software developers. So basically, all this starts from the beginning, right? Starts from the cultivation of STEM in high schools or even primary schools, right? And most of the time, in the secondary schools, is where people become more inquisitive, they're more curious, they want to learn more. And if we show them how technologies are interconnected, what are the jobs of the future for them, what they can look forward to, I think that is something that will be very, very interesting for them to think about. It becomes something that is inspiring for them, and definitely I'll love to inspire some of the younger generations as well in terms of this space. Because if you think about it, last time when I was in high school as well, when I used to do activities, right, school activities, back then we didn't have very technology savvy handphones, right? We didn't have Google Maps back then, right? We had a map where we need to see where we want to go. So if we had a treasure hunt activity, we had to open a map. But today, if you do a treasure hunt, you can just use Google Map and find the best route to go. So that's how technology evolved over time. And of course, activities in school will eventually evolve over time as well. So, and embracing technology at a younger age is something that is really inspiring for us, because we also on our end want to inspire the younger generation to go more into STEM, go more into high-tech kind of programs. And in fact, because we work with open platforms, right? Because we work with open platforms, this actually gives a very low cost startup for even the younger generation to try. They can even try it in their home as long as they have a computer, they have the inspiration to learn, they can learn it on their own. A lot of resources are out there because there are many, many contributors, and we as well want to cultivate that, not only for the industries, but also for the younger generation. So, we are working with partners that also promote STEM education. We want to work with them, and we want to cultivate that culture for the younger generation, and eventually helping them to start up, people to become like tech content developers. Like when you talk about YouTube, it's also a platform for you to share content, and you can monetize your content from there. What if you really do a lot of very techie stuff, and you actually can publish on YouTube, you earn money from there? That's really something very, very good. And that is hopefully something we can reach out to. We so far have gone as much as the stage of college and university level, but yeah, high school is probably a next space that we can hopefully inspire.
I hope that answered your question, Ms. Shanti. And for those who are watching, I think a lot of people would like to know, how we can work with a Smart Factory 4.0. And I think we are trying to cover some grounds on people that will be impacted by 4.0, and how you can come in. So if we are looking at, we are looking not just for big players, but small to medium enterprises as well. So what Smart Factory can do is that you can actually go and have an audit on their factory, on their production flow, and suggest something simple that they can start with, like some of your bestseller training programs. And they can also come to test out their technologies and receive training at your center as well. And for high school, which I'm aware that you're currently sitting as an industry advisory panel in Monash.
University,
right? Right.
Yeah.
And just now you mentioned about STEM. Yeah. So let's just say for secondary and tertiary education centers, what kind of training do you think Smart Factory can provide to them?
Yeah.
And how they can work with you? Of course, we are aware that some schools already have programming as a subject. I'm not so sure how widespread is it implemented. And some of them have robotics as well, just to encourage the passion for STEM.
Yeah.
But where is the overlapping point, that you can work together with schools and universities? What do you say, Dr. Chua?
Yeah. So I think in terms of schools and universities, schools at least as a start having coding as a subject, robotics as a subject is a good start. But of course, when in terms of picking up these subjects, the students may want to know what is in it for them in the future, right? And what we were thinking about is how could we relate what they have learned in schools to something that they can see visually and physically as a model factory, how these technologies put together. For example, you learn Arduino in school, right? Give an example. But how Arduino can then be a basis for you to do IoT. Yeah, that is also possible, right? Or is there another way to build an IoT platform, which there is a lot of other ways, right? So it's a lot to do with how the students pick up technologies either on their own or they have someone to teach them. On our side, definitely we really welcome people to develop and to work together with us in terms of technologies. That's why in terms of university students, we do sometimes bring in interns for them to actually work on technologies that we are exploring. And we guide them how to integrate things together. We try to provide as much support. And, it's all about experimentation, what works best, whether is it robust when we talk about hardware software integration. So this is something that we can also inspire the younger generation to think about. When they think about prototyping something, when they look at designing or innovation, at a younger age, it's all about, prototyping for robustness, for ease of use, user-friendly. That's how it all starts from the younger age and younger generation. So on our side, we don't currently have STEM programs, of course, at the moment, but we are slowly looking at it. And what we are trying to also work on is what we call as a digital learning platform, right? And that platform will offer more digital content in terms of knowledge sharing, and it should be easily accessible, for the younger generation. We are still a work in progress, but we are working on that. We are thinking about how do you work on remote access training. Like let's say if you are remotely you're not within the area, how can you still have access to an equipment to do something, and that's what we are really looking at, co-sharing of a platform for equipment, because sometimes students, when they want the prototype, they need space and they need the hardware to actually test on. So we're looking at all these initiatives. Of course, it's still a work in progress, but this is something that we are really looking at. And in terms of industries, what we do as well is we don't exactly go to factories to do audits, but what we do is we hope industries would share with us their pain points, what is their process pain points that they are facing now, and we will help to review those areas and review the process, review their manufacturing systems, and then we will just provide a suggestion of how they can kickstart a project through talent development, through our programs. And that's basically what we do to support the industries, because I think audit is a very strong word, for a lot of other, there are other parties that do factory audits. So we want to ensure that, we go with support, we want to hear industry pain points, and try to really look at their process in order to support them through. Yeah.
I think your role is more to, I would say, consultancy.
Yeah.
Consultancy and training. Yep. All right. And this is actually not the first round we have Dr. Chua on board. Previously, we have another guest. I think it's Mr. Howie from Forward School. And we mentioned something about digital leadership, how it should be top down, right? Can you perhaps share with our audience for today? Because a lot of the viewers that we have here, they are from various different industries. And sometimes it's not that they don't want to adapt, to change, you know, to take on training, but the leadership has not been open to the idea. They have been resistant. What do you say, Dr. Chua?
So I think in terms of the leadership, you know, of a company, you know, digital transformation, like I said, starts with the people. And of all the entire organization, the person that you know, would drive change, you know, it starts from the top. So that's why leadership plays a very important role in terms of driving digital transformation within an organization. And that actually brings also to, you know, how we drive, you know, the adaptability and, you know, to change in the working level of the factory. You know, we wouldn't want to implement technologies which they feel threatened, you know, that it will replace them. You know, we want to ease in the adaptability to explain to you know, the working level that, okay, this technology is meant to ease your job so that you can do something more beneficial. You know, for example, if you need to take a temperature from a environment thermometer every 1 hour, if I automate that for you, you could do something else every hour. You don't need to go to every room and collect the temperature, humidity, and then need to go and plot it in the Excel sheet and then need to send to your manager. What if I can automate that whole process for you so that you can do something else, which is you can do other roles in the whole entire operation. So that's what change adaptability is all about, you know. And this kind of cultural change needs to be driven from the top down. You know, we can explain a lot of things to the working level, but the top management needs to understand how we define the technology roadmap for our company. You know, that's a very important thing that industries need to identify, you know, a technology roadmap. And eventually, once they draw out that roadmap, you know, like, okay, phase 1, I need to start doing this. Phase 2, I need to start doing this. And then eventually, you know, people can see, when people see results, they feel motivated, they feel committed, they feel that they want to do more for the company. And that's really what we want to drive, you know, companies to work on, you know, to really adapt to change, and for the leaders to understand that, you know, that Industry 4.0 begins with the people, you know, change leadership and, you know, changing the culture and defining the industrialization roadmap, the technology roadmap. Then we talk about the technology, you know, and this article by Harvard Business Review really covers it very well, you know, in terms of how people are the implementers of technologies. Industries should you know, build up the people to understand that they are also ready to experiment, to test, and to fit what they call as a fail fast concept. You know, you need to be able to fail before you can succeed. Usually that happens, you know. And what we try to do for industries is we try to minimize, you know, that learning curve for them. Our programs are meant to minimize the learning curve, you know, so that you can adapt the technologies faster, you know, and you still are able to minimize that whole cost of implementation altogether. And what is rewarding is that your staff are the one that is upskilled, meaning to say that we have just increased the value of your people, you know, in your factory. And that's something that we want to really advocate, you know, for industries, you know, in this space.
Thank you, Dr. Chua, for sharing on the top-down leadership and basically how to facilitate and basically to foster a new digital culture. And for those, once again, for all our viewers who are watching, we are with Dr. Chua from Smart Factory 4.0. And we have talked about a lot of stuff, right? Starting from the misconceptions of IR 4.0 on how Smart Factory could help small to medium enterprises, how they are planning to do more outreach to schools and colleges, and lastly, how to foster a digital culture. I think we have come to the final segment for our sharing tonight. Where do you see Malaysia will be in the current digital transformation? Are we going to Are we going to thrive in this?
Yeah.
Are Malaysians employers really picking up on this? What do you see? What do you see is the future for our coming economy and our workforce?
So I think that the COVID-19 situation has definitely given a big boost in terms of awareness for industries and even the community on the focus of digital transformation. You know, the whole concept of working from home, you know, how to actually still manage the business remotely, still able to, you know, maintain effective production or efficiency even at half the capacity. I think that is an area where while we adapt to the new changes, we are slowly, you know, moving towards a more digital society. And I think eventually, hopefully, you know, with all this awareness and with all this understanding of how technologies can really support your businesses, it will really start to spearhead some changes within the organization to, you know, move more closely into digital transformation and so on. Of course, on our end, we hope to see Malaysia and Malaysians really thrive, you know, to implement these technologies in place. And we hope to be the center that helps to support that initiatives and you know, all the process, you know, to upskill the people, to bring them up, and to really support the industries in this space towards that journey. You know, Industry 4.0 is really about the journey. It's not so much about the destination. And we really hope to be a part of this journey, you know, to support the industry, to support the community in this space. And, you know, to any industries that have not seen what we do at the Smart Factory, we definitely welcome you to have a look, you know, see how technologies are integrated, see how capable and scalable technologies can be. And, you know, the innovation is beyond whatever that you can think of, you know, as long as you build your own talents, you know, you have the right people on board. Yeah, it's limitless to what you can do in terms of technology.
And Dr. Chua, if any of our viewers would like to reach out to you or your organization, what is the best way to do so?
Sure, you can look us up on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn quite regularly, as in quite active on LinkedIn. You can definitely link me up. Just drop me a message, and yeah, we can definitely schedule something for you. Or we also have a website. You can either Google the Malaysian Smart Factory, or you can look for SHRDC. That's where we are as well.
Wonderful. So for all of our viewers today, thank you for joining us. Thank you to Lim, great points raised. Yeah, good sharing. Dr. Chua, thank you. Shirley, thank you for joining us. Miss Shanti, thank you for joining us. So I think I would like to end it with a meme, right? I mean, during the there is this meme during the MCO, right? What drives digital transformation in your company? Is it the CEO? Yeah. Is it the CFO? And the final answer is COVID-19. I think
yeah,
more than ever, you know, what COVID-19 has brought to us is to accelerate the transition to digital transformation and to alert us that the future has already arrived. There's no more time to waste, you know. So if you would like to get the latest training and information, or you would like to reach out to Dr. Chua, like what I've been doing, you know, to get more ideas from Dr. Chua on how your company can do better in this new economy, how you can develop your talents. If you would like to do so, we will have Dr. Chua leave his LinkedIn handle in the comment section below. And this video would be on YouTube as well. And we'll put all the links of Smart Factory so you can reach out to Dr. Chua more easier. With this, I would like to wish all of you a good night. And to Dr. Chua, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And
thank you.
See you all in the next session of I Defy Limits. Take care and good night.
Thank you. Good night.